This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
College football here as we go out to the Progressive guest line. Brooks Austin joins the program now. The Film Guy Network on YouTube does a great job dissecting film. Follow him on X at Brooks Austin BA. Brooks, thanks for the time today. How are you?
No doubt, gentlemen. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be out in Vegas on the airways, man. Don't get these West Coast opportunities very often. So I hope I do well for you, gentlemen.
Well, we'll get to your neck of the woods, SEC, coming up in a minute. But it is Big Ten Media Week ongoing. We've been talking about this conference, obviously, since Monday. I still like Indiana this year. A ton of people here at the network like Oregon. How do you think it's going to play out this year? Which team do you have as the best in that conference?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about who's the most talented and who's the best on paper. That's Oregon, but that really hasn't meant a hill of beans since Kirk Cignetti has taken that job at Indiana. I am known as the film guy. I'm a guy who watches a ton of tape. And the more and more I watch Indiana, the more I sit there and scratch my head. Like most teams, I can figure them out. I can figure out why they're successful, whether it's be to schematics or whether it be to player individual talents and excellence at each position. But when I watch Indiana on tape, it doesn't really matter who's out there. They are the best coached football team that I've studied over the last 7 or 8 years. And I always find it at the line of scrimmage and what we call false steps, right? Like a guy taking the wrong step will get you beat at the line of scrimmage. I watched them throughout their playoff run, every single snap, particularly offensively. They don't take false steps. They do not make mistakes. They don't beat themselves. And they've really shrunk the math. Like used to, if you were under-talented, if you didn't have the Jimmies and the Joes that the other team did, you used to extrapolate the math. You used to try to take as many snaps as you possibly can, particularly offensively. That's not what Indiana does. In fact, they prefer to take under 60 snaps in each individual football game. They're trying to grind you out. They're trying to beat you with efficiency on a down-to-down basis because they're a better executing football team. So, yeah, I understand the Oregon hype. I think they're one of the best two rosters in all of college football. I would put them and Texas up at the top as a different level of echelon from a talent standpoint. But that's all negated by coaching and execution, and Indiana has done that ad nauseum for the last 2 years that Cignetti has been there. So, Mitch, I'm with you in a sense. Like, it doesn't really matter what it is on paper. Those guys get the most out of their football players on a week-to-week basis. And I like what they have, by the way, this year. I'm a big Josh Hoover guy. I'm a big Nick Marsh guy. They maintain basically everything in their core on both sides of the football. Their offensive line is pretty much intact from that 16-0 football team. Their defensive line is relatively intact from that football team a year ago. 2 of the 3 linebackers return, both safeties return. So it's like, how do you not like what they have? They brought both coordinators back. Oregon can't say that. Oregon lost both of them. So there's a lot to like out there in Indiana. As always, Ohio State is lingering with one of the most talented rosters in the sport. So it's that 3-headed monster in that conference. And the question is, for me this offseason and going into the year is like, who is that 4th team? Is it USC? Michigan won 9 games last year with one of the most distracted football coaches in the history of college football. So now they actually have a football coach paying attention. Are they going to get better? You would assume that they are. So the question for me in the Big Ten is who is that 4th team? I know who the 3 are, and I know they're damn good.
Brooks, when it comes to the national title odds, Ohio State is your betting favorite. Even with everything you just said about Indiana and Oregon and all the contenders, Notre Dame's the second shot on the board. As far as those 2 at the top, how dangerous do they appear to you coming into this year? Because Ohio State's lost a lot in terms of defense from a year ago, and Notre Dame on the other end, they've got a chip on their shoulder, but plenty of pieces for them to kind of fill up.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State lost a lot. That is correct. They lost a lot, but this is one of those halves. This is a football team that's never going to not have great talent 1 through 11 on the defensive side of the football. I look at their defensive in-room in particular. They have 4 NFL football players, in my opinion. Kenyatta Jackson, he's going to wear number 2 this year. He's elite. Bo Atkinson, the high-price transfer from North Carolina, he's still back. They brought Quay Rousseau over from Alabama, and I'm missing the 4th right there, number 9. He is an elite football player as well, a former 5-star recruit. Zion Grady, I think is his name. They have elite defensive line football players. They returned a linebacker last year. Everybody knows Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles are gone. Well, they had a linebacker last year in that room that had 65 tackles. He's back. Like, if you have 65 tackles with those 2 dudes, like, rotating in with you, you're pretty damn good in and of your own right? Like you're a good football player as well. Love Devin Sanchez, the corner, former 5-star out of Florida as well. Like they have plenty of talent on that side of the football. I don't really worry about that. I forget the other team that you mentioned.
Notre Dame.
Will you throw that back at me?
Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame. So offensively, they're going to be totally different than they've been in my adult lifetime, right? Like they've always been a line of scrimmage, run the football, get into 3rd and 1. Like let's just grind things out. CJ Carr is probably, I would put him in the top 3 for quarterbacks returning in college football. He is an elite talent. He is everything that you wanted him to be or is projected to be. I don't think particularly my area of the world, I don't think they're ready for the media buzz that's about to be, wait a minute, Notre Dame's got a first-round quarterback talent. Like, that dude is going to get talked about more than probably any quarterback in college football not named Arch Manning this year. And he is worth all of that. They're so good up front on the offensive line that I don't really worry about the losses that they've obviously had 2 first-rounders go out of the running back room. They're still going to be able to run the football. I think the difference this year is they're going to threaten people and scare people with their passing attack for really the first time since Brady Quinn, like first time since, I don't know, maybe the early aughts. Like it's been a long time since Notre Dame can line up and maybe score 40 in any given football game against good defenses. And they're going to get there. Like they're going to be a playoff team. It's a 2-game schedule. It's at BYU and it's Miami at home November 11th. And they're going to be all right. Like they're going to get 11-1 out of that schedule, bare minimum, I would imagine. So they're going to be a playoff team. My question is, when they get there, are they ready to face 4, wars back to back to back to back, which is what it requires nowadays. Like you got to maintain health. You got to maintain the ability to execute on a week-to-week basis, almost like a month-to-month basis with the dumb college football schedule that we have. They're going to get plenty of time off in between playoff games. But no, the hype for Notre Dame is warranted this year. Again, people in my region of the country are always ready to doubt Notre Dame and throw shots at their schedule, which, by the way, their schedule's not great, but ESPN's FPI has it as the 42nd, I think, ranked schedule in all of college football, which, I mean, there's worse. Like, I think Penn State's at 62, Texas Tech's at 71. Like, Texas Tech plays slap nobody. Yeah. So there are worse schedules out there. And, Notre Dame's one of the better football teams on paper. Defensively, Marcus Freeman, man, like he is a defensive-minded guy. That's what his background is. He was a linebacker at Ohio State, defense coordinator at Cincinnati before he took the head coaching job at Notre Dame. They coach it up right on the defensive side of the football over there. They're always going to be sound.
Very good. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Brooks Austin, our guest, the Film Guy Network on YouTube. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. Brooks, a couple minutes left here. Your number 1 team or best team in the SEC is which program this year?
Yeah, on paper, it's Texas. But I do think we're shaping up, at least preseason. I think it's probably going to be Texas and Georgia meeting up in the SEC championship game in Atlanta, which means Georgia's probably going to win the SEC for the 3rd straight year, if that happens. Because if you've watched those games the last 3 times that they've played, Georgia's put them in a box that they can't get up out of. They cannot run the football against Georgia, they're tremendously talented guys. They probably have the most expensive roster in all of college football, which nowadays equates to talent, both on offense and defense. So, and obviously I'm an Arch Manning believer, despite what some people might think about his first 5 or 6 game performances last year. I thought he did exceptional stuff from the pocket last year that wasn't all that clean, and they've revamped all of that. But no, if it ends up being Georgia and Texas in the SEC championship game, I'll lean Georgia, because until you do it, I'm not picking you to do it. But they are on paper the best team in this conference.
By the way, am I allowed to have the opinion that I personally need to see much more from Arch Manning first?
No, but look, man, he didn't have a lot of help around him last year, Mitch. Like I called him a pincushion. I mean, he was getting hit left and right, and they just could not protect him. They also, I didn't think, did enough conceptually to get him hots, to get him answers early in the progression of plays, which made him hold the ball a little bit longer. Also, he did have offseason foot surgery this year. It was very underreported that he played all year last year with a ligament wrong in his foot that required surgery this offseason. So I expect a fully healthy Arch Manning, and I expect a Texas offensive line that was rebuilt with an all-ACC player in Melvin Siani, an all-mid-conference player from Western Kentucky at left guard. They're going to be better. They brought Gooseby back at left tackle. They got a 17th-year senior coming back at center. They should be able to protect him a lot better. And Lord knows they spend enough at the wide receiver position. I don't know if there's a three-headed monster better than what Texas has at the weaponry department between Emmett Mosley, Ryan Wingo, and the new purchase of Cam Coleman.
Yeah. Hey, Brooks, dynamite spot. Thanks so much for the time today. We really appreciate that.
No doubt.
Check him out. The Film Guy Network on YouTube, at Brooks Austin BA on X as well. Feedback from VSiN Pro subscriber Mark says this feature at VSiN already paid for his subscription. Find out which feature and how Mark is crushing it next.
Let me get your attention real quick, podcast listeners. I've got something for you that almost feels too good to be true. First, credit where credit's due. If you're listening to this podcast, you're already leveling up your betting game. You're riding along with our best bets and top angles. And when there's a good game on, you're getting involved with a few props and alt markets as well. There's one more layer if you really want to step things up, and that's VSiN Pro. I've mentioned it before, but things are only getting better for our pro subscribers. We just rolled out our MLB prop projections, breaking down some of the best edges across strikeouts, hits, home runs, and more. And that's on top of everything else pro subscribers already get, including public betting splits, expert picks, and betting guides across the sports calendar. If you haven't tried it yet, stop sleeping on it. You can get your first month just $9.99 or save big with promo code POD26 on the annual subscription. Hit the link in the description and start cashing in with VSiN Pro. All right, back to the show.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah. This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Oh, man, hell of an hour coming up. Mitch Moss along with D. Sweezy. He's in this week. Dustin Sweetelson for Paulie Howard. We're live in Vegas. Circuit Resort and Casino is the spot. We'll get to college football. The biggest question I think that I have for the entire season in 15 minutes for that sport. Greg Peterson, best bets in baseball in 30 minutes. Right now, we go out to the progressive guest line to continue talking National Football League. Longtime friend of this program, NFL bettor and handicapper Adam Chernoff on the program. It's good to see you, my man. How are you today?
Well, I'm doing great, but I got to say, if I knew that it was Dustin sitting, I would have thrown on the suit jacket or the sport coat or something. I feel underdressed and underprepared for this July 30th.
It's
episode.
a reunion, Adam. The last time all three of us were together, we were getting broken off bricks from Evan.
Oh, that's right.
for giving him a second half bet in week 0 of what's it, 3 football seasons ago, where he won like $300,000 that night.
Oh, yes, that's correct.
And he told us, for people that don't know, at the end of the night, Evan, who's a big fan of the show, he was up on a bunch of bets, and it was second half Vanderbilt at Hawaii, week 0. Right. He said, boys,
how do you remember the game?
You find me a second half bet, and if it wins, I'll split this much with you.
Yeah.
And it won, and it was the easiest
win ever. Yeah.
It was like Vanderbilt second half minus 2.5.
Yeah, that's correct.
They scored like 40 unanswered.
Damn, dude, good recall here.
And he gave us $5,000 a piece. Now that $5,000 only lasted me about 3 weeks. I burned through it. I had a lot of fun though those 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I woke up with 2. I don't know what happened to the other 3.
Yeah, right. Okay, so you have a lot of future bets at this point. We're gonna basically concentrate on teams in this segment with Adam. Your Super Bowl winner this year is who?
Yeah, we'll keep it positive. We'll go only the teams are kind of backing and fading, and then in the next couple of weeks we'll do some fades and we'll do some teams that are no good. Super Bowl winner this year, LA Chargers, 15-1 or better for anything you find over 9.5 wins. I'm buying into all of it, guys. I'm fully bought in. They've sold me 11 wins back-to-back seasons in seasons where, so many things went wrong. Injuries on the offensive line, injuries at the skill positions. Justin Herbert dealt with injuries, and it was just somewhat quietly 11 wins back-to-back seasons. This year, there's no issues that are typically there for a Chargers team. The O-line, everyone's healthy. They got fixed. They added depth. The run game, which was not there last season at all to help out, especially in the red zone, that's fixed. A lot of positives. Herbert, great shape. Mike McDaniel comes in as an offensive coordinator. I love the retread offensive coordinators, the head coaches that go back to doing what they do best, and just what you're seeing on the videos that are coming out from training camp so far between him and Harbaugh. I want all of it. And so, like, I understand schedule's tough playing in that division. I understand the path is going to be tough. That's half of the AFC with how these teams are shaking down. I think everything's here for this team. I think they're going to be much improved. I like it all. Took them again 15-1 or better to win the Super Bowl and over 9.5 wins.
I love it. I'm not here for the Herbert slander. He's got Harbaugh and McDaniel now. He's got help on the O-line. I'm totally with you. I'm buying Charger stock this year. How about the Houston Texans? Before you came on, Adam, I said this is a team that has a wide variance for me. I lean more towards them being a potential AFC championship opponent, but I see a world where it could go bad as well. Would you buy something on the Texans right now preseason?
Yeah, I don't think it's that wide. I think it's much more positive than it's being made out to be. Stroud's the bum of the jokes this week for how he came into training camp, and like, I get it, but last year he was 12th in a lot of key passing metrics, EPA per throw. It was quietly, with the injuries that he had, very good. They were favored in 8 games last year with a win total of 9.5. This season, they're 13 games they're favored, and in 1 game they're a pick'em, and their win total is still 9.5. The defense is still damn good. This is going to be the best defense in the league. And I can promise you guys, the O-line is going to be a lot better. And it's not going to be a combo of Chubb and Marks running the football for 2.5 yards a carry, leaving CJ Stroud hung out to dry trying to make big plays. And so I look at Houston in this division. I do think they win the division. I like over 9.5 wins. That's something I've bet already. And this is a team, to me, that can make a deep run into the postseason. And so I don't get a lot of the negatives I'm hearing elsewhere on the Texans. I think this is a great team.
I'm with you. I think the defense is the best in the National Football League. It'll play out like that this year. Stroud, obviously the biggest question mark to me after his unbelievable performance as a rookie, kind of downhill since then, but maybe he can kind of find that form again. Adam Chernoff, our guest. Go to the website, adamchernoff.com, sign up for the newsletter. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to jump in and say, like, I get there's questions around him. I thought the way that the contract situation was handled was pretty interesting. He's now put back into a prove-it year, and he's going to have Dell back right away, so his receivers are healthy. Collins looks great. I think that's another positive on this, and just that he's forced to prove it this year. I think he will. Yeah,
good. I like that as well. Okay, so we're on the same page with this team. I'm not all the way in because I didn't bet them to win the NFC, nor did I bet them to win the Super Bowl, but I really like the Saints this year, as do you. How did you attack their numbers?
So win total, I've bet over 7.5. I've taken plus 250 and plus 260 to win the NFC South. The reason I went a little bit further and took the South rather than just the win total is not only very down on Carolina. I think the injuries in camp have been problematic, but it's a team that lucked out a lot last year. I think Tampa without Evans, with Mayfield, similar contract situation, but I think that's going different. I don't like Bowles in there either. As well as Atlanta, I think there's questions. So I don't love the rest of the division, but the Saints have, depending if you're looking at win totals, last year's offense, defensive combined, some different projections that are aggregates. Everywhere is Saints' second or third easiest schedule.
Yep.
The rest of the division in those same numbers is top 7 to 8 most difficult. So the Saints right now second in terms of odds within the division, but a significantly easier schedule than any other team in this division has to face. And so I don't necessarily agree that they should be as long as they are because of that. But I look at the offense and the upgrades that they added. I think Kamara takes a step back and the run game is going to be more efficient with Etienne in there. I think Tyler Shuck, the way he finished last season was a positive going into another year with Kellen Moore to continue to build the offense in the playoff and the playbook. I think that's a big positive too. Defense leaves a bit of question marks, but I don't think the Saints have to run away and win 10 games to get this division. I think they can get it with 9 wins. And so I like the win total over 7.5, and just by virtue of the schedule and expected offensive improvements, I'll back them as well on the win total.
Let's go from the South to the North. Who will be the king of the North? Where the Lions are favored plus 170, which I know the schedule is great, But Adam, I'm confused. They had a major need at edge and corner and O-line, and I don't feel like they really addressed any of them. And they actually lost a corner with Terry and Arnold and his situation. Packers second shot plus 225. The Bears, a lot of hype behind them, but a tough schedule plus 305. And the Vikings at plus 510 with Kyler Murray under center. Who do you like to win this division?
Dustin, you nailed the recall out of nowhere to open the segment. Do you know what you were doing on December 14th of 2025, last year in December?
No, what was I doing?
Okay, that's okay. We were probably watching the Packers Broncos. They were playing. And here's the reason I bring that up. I'm putting you on the spot. The Packers were 9-3-1 going into that Broncos game in week 15. They were up 11 points late in the third quarter. That 10th win seals that division. And the Packers go into the playoffs, and we're talking about them in a completely different way than we are right now. They lost the game against the Broncos. Parsons went down, and Green Bay never won another game the rest of the season. So that was in that spot for the Packers where they were 9-3-1, leading to go to 10-3-1. They had not had any health breaks go their way whatsoever at the skill positions, on the offensive line, in the backfield. It was a revolving door of injuries. And Jordan Love played fantastic through all of it. So I have a hard time sitting here and thinking about the Lions favored to win the division when Ben Johnson's not coming back. The O-line and that identity is gone. The defense has issues. Chicago is coming off one of the luckiest seasons we've ever seen a team have, ever. I'm having a hard time getting into backing that again. And the Minnesota Vikings are going to be relying on Kyler Murray to do something in a Kevin O'Connell offense that a couple quarterbacks have not been able to do, which is throw over the middle of the field. I don't know how that's going to look. And there's some questions about the defense. For the Packers, once Parsons back after September into mid-October, this is still a team that amid so many issues and so many injuries, what was leading in the third quarter in Denver for a game that was going to seal the division late December, all the pieces are back. Like, I'm excited about it. So they're at 9.5 wins, which was bet down from 10.5. A lot of that has to do with Josh Jacobs. I don't buy that that's worth that much. I don't agree with this move down. And I'm looking at the Packers here and saying, give it to me again, because last year, amid all the issues, they looked damn good.
We don't have time to go back and forth on this. We're on the same page with the Saints. We're on opposite sides here with the Packers. I have them under, actually, but you're positive with Green Bay. We'll close on this. You're also back in Saskatchewan now, following the CFL. You have a future bet that you like right now?
No, it's a bet on Saturday evening.
Oh, okay. Saturday. Okay.
Rough Riders -1 against the Edmonton Elks. They played last week on Thursday, so this is a rematch on a 7-day break. The Riders had a terrible tragedy where they lost their defensive captain last week. It disrupted practice. Long story, terrible story. It riddled through all the press conferences this week. They were highly distracted. Practice was broken off. Edmonton kicked a 57-yard field goal to walk off last week. Now it's a rematch. The game's moved 6 points, way too much. Riders got called out by their defensive leader. Head coach has called them out. There's this big deal that Edmonton's the best team in the CFL. I don't buy it yet. Give me the Riders here on Saturday night for those who want some CFL action on the weekend. Very
good. I'm hopping in. AdamShernoff.com is the website. You can sign up for the newsletter. Great to talk to you again, man. Thank you for the time. We appreciate that.
Likewise. We got lots more to talk about, so chat to you guys soon.
No doubt. My biggest question in the Big Ten and college football this year, I think we have the answer, but people don't want to believe it. Next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
The White Sox walked it off. Would I say literally because it was a walk with the bases loaded, or would that be, is that?
No, it's true.
Because walk it off is a dumb saying anyway.
Technically, it is. It only really applies to that situation.
Kind of, right? It's a true walk-off, I guess, so to speak. So anyway, bases were loaded. Cruz walked the batter. White Sox win 2-1. That's a winner for D. Sweezy here.
Needed it. Need to get back on track. Baseball's not been fun lately.
More of it here. Greg Peterson joins the program now. G-Unit. And his daily baseball write-ups can be found at vsin.com. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. Hey, Greg, thanks for the time today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you, guys. And Dustin, I feel you. I was hoping for the White Sox to get the job done. So we were simpatico on that one.
Are you like me, though, where you'll handicap the game perfectly, but you'll choose the wrong one, whether it's first 5 full game or the total the wrong way? I do a lot of props where I go, oh, you know what? I like this pitcher, but I actually am going with the team side instead, and the pitcher does well, but the team winds up losing. Are you getting it right, but in the end, choosing the wrong side?
Or sometimes the game just goes extra innings. You're in on an under, and you're like, what am I going to do? The game was 1-1 going into the 10th inning, and we lose 6-5. So, yep, absolutely. That is just a part of baseball. Or some of my favorites as well is it's like, all right, everything is going well, and then the team has like an error out there in the field that I could have made with my gloves. So there are just some unpredictable things about baseball. That's why we love it. That's why we hate it. And somehow, some way, we're sick enough to bet this stuff. So makes me proud.
You mostly do concentrate, though, on full game bets, right? You want the full 9-inning experience. Yeah.
Yes.
From reading your write-ups on a daily basis. So a couple of games that we have coming up tonight. It's the Marlins and the Mets. Boy, this Miami team, bizarre, as we documented this week. 12-game losing streak, and they swept the Phillies. Chaos in Miami for that set. What do you make of this matchup tonight, Greg?
I do like the over here, mainly because Eury Perez throughout his career has just not been the same pitcher away from home rather than at home. His home runs per 9 rate for his career doubles when he's away from home. And don't get me wrong, he's a hot pitcher right now. He's allowed 8 runs in his last 8 starts. This is also a bruised and battered Miami Marlins bullpen. I've noticed since coming off the injury list, they've really been not letting Eury Perez go. That was most documented when he was out there in Sacramento. I think he had a perfect game through 7, might have been a no-hitter, but they removed him, and then the first batter, it goes by the wayside. So for the Miami Marlins, they've been treating him a little bit with kid gloves here. And for Noel McLean, he gives up a ERA that's nearly 2 points higher when he's at home rather than away from home as well. So that's been a little bit bizarre. We've seen the Mets bullpen with Austin Warren and a few others start to act up. Now, Juan Soto not being in the fold, that hurts this Mets team, but honestly, they're averaging more runs without him than they were with him. Part of that was that they had just that one big outburst against the Atlanta Braves, where against that relief pitcher, they put up like 10 runs. That said, I just felt like 7 overnight was a little bit too low. Even if this went up to a 7.5, I'd be in on the over. And the Mets right around minus 125. That's my buy point on them for this money line.
Yeah, I found some trends that said the over was the play. By the way, Noel McLean 6-0 to the over this year as a home favorite between minus 100 and minus 150. That is an interesting development. The number's just a little bit too low.
Yeah, okay. This is a game that I was teasing throughout the show today, Greg, and that is the Nationals and the Braves. You thought the overnight number was off by about 25 cents, huh?
Absolutely. Like, the Washington Nationals are doing a good job in terms of putting up runs, but Jake Irvin hasn't made a start in over 2 months, and has Jake Irvin ever been good? Like, he's right now got a 5.23 ERA. Yeah, his fielding independence a little bit better, but I mean, my goodness, he was relying upon strikeouts before. Now he's making his first start coming off the injury list, has always had a walks problem, has always had a home runs problem. He's going up against an Atlanta Braves team that maybe they're not putting up as many runs as Washington Nationals, but this is still a top 7, top 8 offense in terms of run creation. Grant Holmes is probably going to give up his own runs because he's got a fielding independent above a 475. He's been giving up 1.4 home runs per 9 innings, but let's say both of these pitchers sort of iron themselves out with their starts. The Atlanta Braves have far and away the better bullpen here. Like Dylan Lee, Dylan Dodd, Raisel Iglesias, they're all good, and the Nationals are last in the National League in terms of bullpen ERA. So this I just felt like was an off number. I took the money line just because I didn't want to roll with Holmes on the run line, but I felt like this number should have been closer to like minus 165 or so, and I was finding closer to 145 overnight. So took the Braves here on the money line. I also took a shot on a 9 after the over.
Greg, did you think about doing anything with the Pirates and the Reds? Because to me, I was thinking about that total, man. A potential over with Yohan Ramirez opening for the Buccos, minus 121 on the road. Rhett Lauder takes the bump at home for Cincinnati at even money. Total, like I said, is 9.5. Did anything jump out here?
I saw some very small plus money prices on the Reds, plus 102, plus 105. Any sort of plus money had me in on the Reds, and I'm with you on the over. Like Hunter Barco, he's a very highly touted prospect. He hasn't been great at the AAA level. His command at the AAA level, over 4.5 walks per 9 innings. Now when you get up to the big league level, you have to have your question marks there. And for the Pirates, no doubt about it, the offense has not been the same since the All-Star break. They're still a top 6 team in terms of run creation. Away from home, they're still averaging over 4.8 runs per game. They don't call it Great American Small Park for no reason. And for the Reds, they've been a much better offense ever since Elly De La Cruz has gotten back in there as well. And let's say that you get 2 mediocre starts, because Rhett Lauder, he himself over 4 walks per 9 innings. He's posting up an ERA above a 5. I do believe there's a little bit of positivity to him for him, but hasn't been a great year for him. Both of these bullpens have been rough. Both of these bullpens in the bottom 10 in terms of ERA. The Reds have had a tough time figuring it out. They had a doubleheader a few days ago. Pirates, they have been absolutely spent with their bullpen as well. So it's a circumstance where I'm in on the over, and at plus money, I took the Reds on the money line.
Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Greg Peterson, he is the host of the Baseball Betting Show podcast here, part of VSiN as well. You can follow him on X at @GUnit_81 on the Progressive Guest Line. So I'm a Wisconsin guy. You're a Wisconsin guy as well. The Brewers right now at Kelsey are 26% to land Tarek Skubal before August 5th of this year. The Dodgers, the short shot, 36%. Do you believe that Milwaukee will actually make a move here and land him?
I just have my question marks with the Brewers.
Yep.
Last time they truly went all in, I was in high school and they landed CC Sabathia. That was a great year. And personally, if I'm a Brewers fan, and I'm hoping they get a little bit more of a bat rather than Tarek Skubal. Don't get me wrong. Like, Tarek Skubal, a great ad. Like, anyone who needs a pitcher, yeah, absolutely. You want Tarek Skubal, but the Brewers need hitting more than they need pitching. Especially now with that Jake Bauers injury. He was leading the team in homers. You just need that guy that's able to give you a big hit in the postseason. And you have to wonder who that is for the Brewers, because for the longest time, that was Christian Yelich. He's just not what he once was. Like, Jackson Chourio is on the come up. That's nice. But for the Brewers, you don't need a lot more pitching, because Kyle Harrison has been dominant. Jacob Mizorowski has been dominant. I like what I'm seeing out of Logan Henderson. This is a deep bullpen. You've got enough pitching in a 5 or 7 game series. You need that one bat that's able to strike fear into an opponent. And right now, the Brewers don't have that. So if I'm the Brewers, I'm looking at getting one of those big bats over Tarek Skubal at the trade deadline.
Greg, the nightcap tonight on paper feels like it could be a good pitching matchup with Sasaki turning a corner. Brian Wu, however, not always great on the road. What do you make of Seattle and the Dodgers, where LA is a minus 163 home favorite, plus $1.35 with the Mariners? 9 is your total.
Yeah, Brian Wu has been Brian Boo away from home. His ERA at home is at 2.20, and he has not taken a loss at home. He's got 1 win on the road, and his ERA is above a 6. Like, his home and road ERA are more than 4 points off of one another. It's absolutely wild. And the place where you don't want to go is to Los Angeles. Now, albeit the Dodgers actually generate a whole heck of a lot less offense at home rather than away from home. I think that's just that West Coast air during the nighttime, but I do like this total to the over. I was seeing 8.5 out there. If you have a 9, I still like it to the over, but try to get an 8.5 if at all possible. Never know when you get like a 6-3 sort of game, but I just am not feeling bullish about the Mariners right now because they've had their own offensive issues, though. I think that they get to Roki Sasaki a little bit. For Sasaki at home, he's giving up over 2 home runs per 9 innings himself, so he's had a little bit of a rough go of it. For the Mariners, they've had a top-10 team in terms of bullpen area, but Andres Munoz has not been himself this year. You've got a few guys that are on the injury list. Cooper Criswell is out. Matt Brash is out. So it's a Mariners team that's starting to run on fumes with that bullpen. Brian Wu has been absolutely terrible away from him. So I took laying a 1.5 with the Dodgers at plus 135, plus 140 on the run line overnight. And I took this to the over as well.
Okay. You're a big beer guy as well. What's the best beer that you've had in the last week or so?
I had one from Treehouse called Sap that was really good. And if you've ever been to El Paso, Texas, they've got a brewery called Dead Beach. They have a really good amber lager. This is more for those that don't necessarily love IPAs. I gave that a 9.5 out of 10. For any sort of a non-IPA to get over a 9 is really, really good. So shout out Dead Beach Brewery out there in El Paso, Texas.
Wow. And that's available like across the country then?
That one is a little bit more regional. If you're out there in New Mexico and Texas, you're in luck. If you're out here in lovely Las Vegas,
I was going to say, what the hell's going on here?
He's got people breaking FDA regulations, mailing him beer all over the place.
Jesus. That I believe. Greg, thank you. Best of luck tonight, okay?
And you can buy beer legally online at some locations.
Yeah, you can. Well. You can. There you go. Greg Peterson on the Progressive Guest Line.
Good cover up, Greg.
I was in Wisconsin last week, and I had the New Glarus. You know this whole...
I have talked on air. Spotted Cow. There was a listener who says he's coming out here to bring me a sixer.
I had a Spotted Cow draft.
Oh.
Which, good, like, tasty...
Goes down like water.
Super cold draft beer. Delicious. Oh, I can't. It's so good. Up next, assuming Skubal gets traded, the possible rotation he will create at any landing spot will be ridiculous.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Big Ten Media Week continues today, and more on that here as we go out to the Progressive guest line to get some bets. Professional bettor Paul Stone joins the program. You can follow him on X at Paul Stone Sports. Paul, good to talk to you as always, my man. How are you today?
Well, Mitch, Saturday's August 1st, so 2 days from today, we'll be able to say we have got college football that counts this month. So looking forward to it. Going to be another great year.
Yeah, that sounds terrific. Let's begin at the very top here of the conference. I think it's probably a three-horse. Well, the odds tell you this, and that's what people are going to tell you as well. A three-horse league, I guess, if you will, to win this thing outright. How did you decide between Indiana, Ohio State, or Oregon to win this thing?
Well, I'll tell you up front, Mitch, I've got Ohio State and Oregon power rated is at the highest numerical rating that I have. So they're basically tied for first, Ohio State and Oregon, in my power ratings. And I'm looking at, I decided to go with Oregon. There's a narrative out there, obviously. I think Indiana, first of all, is just a little bit behind those guys, a few points. But there's a narrative out there that Dan Lanning can't win the big game. And, I think at the very least, it's a somewhat fair narrative. I think Lanning's critics would probably point to what another coach in the conference did in his first 2 years at Indiana, Kirk Cignetti, making the playoff in his first year and then winning it in 16-0 fashion last year in his second season. But, man, you got to realize, and I know you guys know this, that's not even 1 in 1,000 type stuff. That's 1 in 10,000 and beyond. The Kirk Cignetti story, that's why it's so great, is it's just so extremely rare. The reality is that it takes time. It takes time to build, and Dan Lanning now entering his fifth year. In most cases, looking at some teams that I think are at top of college football right now, I'll start with Georgia as far as taking time to build. This is a team that in Kirby Smart's first year, I think we talked about this last week, 2016, they go 8-5. He has since been in the top 7 in the final poll in each of the last 9 seasons. Took him 6 seasons to win his first national championship, accomplished that in 2021. And then looking at Ohio State, Ryan Day gets promoted to head coach in 2019. If you extract the shortened COVID year in 2020 and look at his 6 full seasons, and I'm counting playoff games, conference championship games, bowl games, so forth, he's averaged 12 wins a year. But it took him as well, his 6th season, to win the national championship. Of course, the Buckeyes accomplished that 2 years ago in 2024 when they beat Notre Dame. I actually view Lanning's shortcomings to this point, perhaps not winning the big game, as just part of the process. It's kind of that adage, if you want to see the rainbow or whatever, you got to stand a little rain. I think it's a natural part of just pushing through the obstruction, taking a few shots, and making your way up the mountain. I think there's no question that Dan Lanning can coach. I'm not ready to label Dan Lanning as a big game failure at this point. I think he's got a championship in him at some point. And it comes down to roster. It comes down to players. And looking at this Oregon roster, starting with their quarterback, Dante Moore, guy could have gone to the NFL. Some say he could have been the 2nd overall pick in the entire draft. But this is a guy, he's had some big game struggles himself, but this is a guy who has 20 collegiate starts to this point. I think that's kind of a delineation mark. I think when you get north of 20 starts, the experience kicks in, you start making better decisions. You're just a more experienced seasoned player. So love Dante Moore at quarterback. They got a great receiver room. In fact, looking at the 7 position areas where Phil Steele ranks the teams in those traditional 7 position areas, being quarterback, running back, wide receiver, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, and secondary. Oregon is in the top 8 in 6 of those 7 categories. And take it a step further, they're either first and second in 4 of the 7 categories. So this Oregon team is loaded. They're a 6-point underdog at Ohio State on November 7th. Even if they lose that game, I think they make the Big Ten championship game. I think this might be Oregon's year. Plus 260 at most stores. You can find plus 280 to win the Big Ten title game there at BetMGM.
Paul, that's my championship pick. I've got Oregon winning it all. They won a big game at Happy Valley a year ago. I think they build on it. Their 2 losses the last 2 years that knocked them out were the team that won the national championship. Between Indiana and Ohio State, who scares you more with the matchup against the Ducks?
Absolutely Ohio State. I mean, Indiana, you cannot in any way detract from what they've accomplished the last 2 years, especially last year going 16-0. But I like to point this out, Dustin. They were plus 15 in turnovers in 2024 when they made the playoff. They were plus 22 in turnovers last year, 16 games. They didn't lose the turnover battle in a single of those 16 games. They pushed the turnover battle 3 times. They were plus 1 or better 13 times, plus 37 in turnovers the last 2 years. As good of a coach as Cignetti is, that's not going to go on forever. They've got a new quarterback, Josh Hoover, in 31 career starts. The TCU transfer, 42 turnovers, 33 of those interceptions. I think Indiana is going to come back just a little bit in 2026.
Great numbers there. Paul Stone, our guest, professional bettor. He's on the Progressive Guest Line talking about best bets for the Big Ten this year. What is your favorite win total in this conference, Paul?
I usually look at unders, and especially in today's new era of college football, I just think the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, even within the same conference, even within power conferences. I think that gulf's getting a little bit wider. It seems like ages ago, but the team I'm going to look at here is Michigan State. But it was just 4 years ago, if you guys will remember, the last Saturday in October, Michigan State, undefeated at the time, they host arch rival Michigan. Michigan led that game by 16 points late in the third quarter. Michigan State makes a furious rally. It was a huge game that day by Kenneth Walker III, 197 yards, 5 touchdowns. Michigan State rallies to win 37-33. The college football playoff inaugural poll for that season debuts 3 days later. Michigan State is number 3 in that poll. I think they might be going to the national title game, but it's been pretty rough sledding since that victory over Michigan the last Saturday in October. In fact, since that game, they are 11-29 straight up in Big Ten action. They're all 4 straight losing seasons, 5 victories or less in each of those 4. Of course, no bowl victories in the last 4 seasons, no bowl appearances. So they bring in former Northwestern head coach Pat Fitzgerald. He's a guy who had success, sporadic success at Northwestern. I think he did as good of a job considering the history of that program as could be done there in Evanston. But he did his last 2 seasons only go 4-20. His last 2 years in Evanston. College football's changed a lot since he was last on the sideline in 2022. I'm sure he can adapt, but it is a different game. Michigan State, they might get it turned around and show some improvement with time, but I think this first year is going to be a challenge for Fitzgerald and company. They only returned 27% of their snaps from last year. That ranks 119th out of 138 FBS teams. Only 5 Power 4 teams return a lower percentage of snaps than Michigan State. They opened the season with games against MAC members at home there in East Lansing, those MAC members being Toledo and Eastern Michigan. They probably start out 2-0, although Toledo can be feisty at times, but I don't have them favored in another game as far as their remaining 10 regular season games. I think it's going to be a long season. I think 4-8 would really be, I know they're not looking for 4-8, but I think that would be a pretty good start for Fitzgerald in year one. I think 3-9 is more likely than 5-7. I like Michigan State under 4.5 regular season wins, available today, minus 140 there at Circa Resort and Casino.
About a minute to go here, Paul. Game of the year line, October 24th, Indiana at Michigan. Hoosiers laying 6 on the road, 52.5 is the total. What do you want to do?
I'll try not to be repetitive. I've already talked a little bit about Indiana, but of course they're coming off that 16-0 national championship season. Kirk Cignetti has been magical. He is deservedly the talk of college football, but after being plus 37 in the turnover margin over the last 2 years collectively, I look for some regression with new quarterback Josh Hoover under center for the Hoosiers. You look at this Michigan team, Bryce Underwood was a huge recruit out of the Detroit area, had to play as a true freshman for Michigan, kind of got thrown to the Wolves. I think the second career game that he played, he went up against Oklahoma, one of the very best defenses in all of college football. I think he's going to be better in year 2. I think he's going to make better decisions. I think they're going to run him more, which is critical. The running game is good. Jordan Marshall over 900 yards last year. Keep an eye, though, on true freshman Savion Hyder. He is ready-made. He is a man. He is going to take college football by storm. So remember the name Savion Hyder. Looking at Indiana, they're going to start the season by playing 9 straight weeks. This will be game 8 of those 9 straight games. The week before, they travel to Michigan. They got to go to Columbus. They play a little team called The Ohio State University. Going to be a physical, emotional game the week before. This is also the trip to Ann Arbor, going to be their third road trip, in 4 games. I like Michigan +6 over Indiana.
Terrific analysis as always, Paul. Thank you for the time. Best of luck.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a great week.
In Pocket plays next. We have some movement, and I don't like it.